You're watching Nichols Golf. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share this with your friends who also want to play better golf.
Hello everybody. In today's video, we're not going to be doing instruction. Instead, we're going to do a golf club comparison. I have always been a champion of low budget golfing. I don't believe you need to spend hundreds and hundreds or thousands of dollars on equipment to enjoy playing this game. I think a reasonable budget can get you what you need to just go out and have fun. Actually, it can get you what you need to have a lot of success in this game, as I can attest to, because I've got in my hand right now a pitching wedge from my iron set. I bought these in 2003. I spent $350 on this set of irons, 3-through pitching wedge, and I've had a lot of success with them. My driver that I currently use, I bought it in 2008, and I've had a lot of success with it. In fact, I've tried many drivers up against my driver, and I haven't found any on the market in several years that can match what it does for me. Same with my fairway woods and my hybrid. I spent less than $100 on my driver. I spent, I believe it was $35 or $40 on my 3-wood and 5-wood, and then I think it was $35 on my hybrid. I don't spend a lot of money on golf clubs, and I can play the game pretty well. So I believe that that's the same for everybody out there. So what we're going to do today, we're going to take my irons and we're going to compare them to an iron that is a little more recent on the market. Actually, you can find this set on Amazon. I'll put a link somewhere below this video where you can get this set of irons. And we're going to do a comparison between my clubs that I currently use and have been using for several years and these. And we're just going to go straight through it, so you see there's no editing done in this. We're just going to go straight through. I'm going to test out the pitching wedge, the 8-iron, and the 5-iron. And then as a bonus at the end, I'm also going to do a driver comparison. So let's get right to it. I'm going to set the Cobra Aero Jet aside, and I'm going to start with my pitching wedge. So this is a Nicholas CGX iron. And like I said, I bought these back in, I believe it was 2003, from a golf store that doesn't exist anymore. It was called Pro Golf in Indianapolis. And I bought them back then, and I've hit them really well since I bought them. I've never needed to upgrade or felt the need to upgrade. So when I'm outside, I typically hit this pitching wedge about 120 yards. So let's see what we see here on the launch monitor. Caught that one a little thin. So now what you see over here on this laptop is the readout from a launch monitor. This is the Flight Scope launch monitor. The software on it is from 2022, and it stays fairly accurate for the most part. That shows, if you look over here in this lower corner, the carry distance was 103, total distance 104, and smash factor of 1.1. And then if we cared, our club path and launch angles are right there. But I'm most interested in the distance, the carry and total distance. So that first one with my pitching wedge was 104. So let's hit another one. Like I said, typically outside, I would hit this about 120. That one's felt a little more flush than the first one. According to the readout, looks like I pushed it a little bit. And that's a little closer to realistic distance, 115. I'm going to try one more. Try to get two with solid contact here. There, that felt good. So let's see what that one looks like. Yeah, that's more like it. Almost down the line, and I hit it 119 yards, right on the carry number. Okay, so now let's compare that to, once again, this is the Cobra Aero Jet 1 length. iron, and this is their pitching wedge. And so now the whole idea behind the one length is, and I'll show you here as I'm going to hit the pitching wedge, 8-iron, and 5-iron. I rest them all on the floor. These are all exactly the same length. There's the main idea. That was something Bryson DeChambeau came up with, and now has kind of spread a little bit. So what that means is this pitching wedge is, let's do a quick comparison on camera here. This pitching wedge is almost maybe 2.5, at least a 2 full inch length difference from mine. So I've got about 2 inches longer on the shaft for this pitching wedge than mine. So let's see what kind of an effect that has. Oh, speaking of shafts, my Nicholas shafts have regular flex steel shafts in them, and these have the KBS Tour Light 1-length shaft, regular flex. So let's see what kind of difference this makes. That one also felt a little bit thin. How does it look? Whoa, 135 carry. Catching it a little thin even. Okay, that's a pretty good difference. I'll do a couple more just to see if there's consistency there. That actually felt just a touch heavy. Got a little bit of a draw to it, 137. We'll try one more. That one felt good. Maybe just a smidge over the top of it. Oh, we timed out. 139. Third was the furthest of them all. Okay, so that Aerojet 1-length pitching wedge is going about 20 yards farther, maybe 15 yards farther than my pitching wedge. So let's move to the 8-iron. Once again, this is the Nicholas CGX. You can see I've actually practiced so much I've beat the little decorative decal off the back of it. Nicholas CGX irons. This is my 8-iron. Outside, I typically hit this right on the 150 mark. That one felt good. Just a slight push, and there's 149. So coming out about right. Just about like it is outside. And I am hitting just Strata range balls here, whereas out on a course, I would typically use Pro V1s or Pro V1Xs. Just a little on the thin side. Let's see what we got. 146. So yeah, if that was thin, that sounds about right. So we'll do one more. Get a trend of them. Those all felt, for the most part, really good. That last one felt the most solid. And it went about, it actually went a little shorter, so 144. So I'm between 145 and 150 with my 8-iron. So now I'll show you the difference in length between my 8-iron, which are standard length irons, and this one I've got, looks like pretty much a 1 inch difference. So the Cobra Aerojet 1 length is 1 inch longer with the 8-iron than my 8-iron. So we'll hit 3 of these and see what kind of a difference they make. That one felt like I came over the top of it just a little bit. But Flight Scope liked it, put it right down the line, and distance of 163. So about 13 yards farther, between 13 and 15 yards farther than mine. I'll try a couple more. That one felt solid. Let's go. Sees a little bit of a push. 166. And we'll try one more 8-iron here. And the flight scope saw that one is a 165. So consistently between 163 and 166. So I'm hitting that Aerojet 8-iron about 15, 18 yards farther than my own. So now we'll go to the 5-iron. So now the difference here being, as I set these both on the floor, my 5-iron is about, looks like maybe 3/4 of an inch to maybe 1 inch longer than the Aerojet 5-iron. So let's see if that makes a difference. So here's my 5-iron. Now outside, I typically hit my 5-iron somewhere around the 175 to 180 range. Looks like I came over the top of that a little bit, and there you go, 177, just like I called. So we'll do a couple more of these, then we'll compare. That one felt good. Very slight push, 176. And we'll do a third. Got that one up in the air a little quicker. There's my typical little draw, 176 again. So right on the money that I was claiming for my 5-iron. So let's now go to the, I'll show you again, this is the Cobra Aerojet 1 length, and this is their 5-iron. Cobra Aerojet 1 length 5-iron. Once again, this one is about 1 inch shorter than my 5-iron. Felt a little bit towish. See, it's got a little bit of a draw to it. About 179, so just a little bit farther than mine. We'll try a couple more, see if that's true. Now, one thing I also noticed as I look down at these, the lie angle on these is a little steeper than mine. So I'm looking down at a 5-iron, I'm seeing the toe up off the turf a little more than what I typically do. Ooh, caught that one heavy for sure. So yeah, that's not, still got out there 178, but it was low and ugly. And I overcompensated after the heavy one. I hit one super thin. So once again, you see that low push. 194, yeah. Okay, so we're not going to judge by that one. We're going to put a good third shot into this trend here. Oh, that was much better. That one felt better. How did that one come out? Still taking off pretty low and a big push, but 183. So the Cobra Aerojet 5-iron, with being about 1 inch shorter than mine, is actually going about, on average, maybe 5 yards farther than mine. So now here's a bonus test. As I mentioned earlier, I paid less than $100 for my driver, and this is the driver I have been using since 2008. It is a Strixon W302, 8.5 degree loft. The shaft in it is a Graphiloid ProLite 35X. Now, in my prime, which I am not in anymore because I just turned 52, and I'd say my prime was when I was in my mid-30s, maybe between, maybe even upper 30s was my prime. But there was a point in time when I was hitting this pretty regularly between 295 and 300. My longest drive that I've ever hit with this on record is actually 354. I did that at on a par 4 at the course in Rushville. I was a member of a league there, and it was a 354-yard par 4, and I hit this driver right to the middle of the green on that hole. Of course, it was dry, okay, so I got quite a bit of roll on it, but hey, it still went out that far. So we're going to go ahead and hit 3 drivers with mine and see what turns up on the flight scope. That may be a little bit toeish, I think. A little push. Did I leave it open? Yeah, slight push. Still got it out there, 251. You know what? When you get above 50 years old, if you can still put it out there 250, I'm pretty proud of it. I'm pretty proud of that, I should say. I would love to get it back up to the 275 area, but I don't practice as much as I used to. Yeah, that was another toeish swing. 256, so I gained a little bit on it, but I have yet to hit it in the middle of the face. Now these rubber tees are not as high as I typically put mine. Let's hit one in the middle of the face this time. Yeah, that was better. That felt more like it. Little draw to it, which I like, but according to the flight scope, went a few yards shorter. Since I really only hit one solid, I'm going to do one more. I'll try to get a solid comparison now. Yeah, that's the best one I've hit. What do you think on that one, flight scope? Didn't see a draw, but still only about 247. Okay, so I can hit this about 250, it thinks. So let's compare. Let's compare that to, we're staying in the Cobra family. We've got a Cobra Air X, and it's a 10.5 degree and it's offset. And now this shaft is the ultra light 40R. So I've got stiff graphite in my driver because I go after it. I generate a little more speed with the driver than I do with my irons. But with this, whenever I swing a regular, especially graphite shafted driver, I will tend to make an adjustment in my setup. I'll bring the ball back in my stance a little bit, especially because this is an offset face. Since I don't have a slicing problem, I don't need that. So that's another reason I will move the ball back in my stance to help with that timing. And we'll see what this produces. So where my driver would typically be right here with my driver, I'm going to scoop my feet forward and bring this ball now inside my front heel by a couple of inches. So my head's a little closer to the back of the ball as opposed to being behind it. That felt good. Let's see what we got here. It's got a subtle draw on it. Oh, 252. Okay. Huh. Like I said, I've tried out several drivers over the years, comparing them to mine, and I've never hit anything better than that one. Again, checking my lineup, make sure I'm adjusting for this driver setup. What do we think there? A little more draw on that one. 236. So let's come down a little bit. So yeah, this anti-slice offset face is not something I'm used to looking down at. A little more subtle of a draw, but still a draw. And back to 250. So we'll do one more since I did 4 with my driver, but these have all felt pretty solid with this one. According to the subtle paint marks that the range balls are leaving. Looks like I'm hitting them mostly towards the middle of the face. We'll try one more. You can see that's getting up just a little bit quicker off of this driver than with mine with a 10.5 degree loft. And you see that draw, 237. So I'm on average over those 4, not hitting this as far as mine. That first one went a couple of yards farther, but then the other three brought it back. So once again, my driver wins, the one that I bought back in 2008. So there is your club comparison for today. Once again, these Cobra Aerojet one length irons, they're available on Amazon, and I'll go ahead and put a link down below the video where you can go ahead and get a set for yourself if you'd like. And thanks for watching, and keep swinging.
You're watching Nichols Golf. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share this with your friends who also want to play better golf.